Hello and welcome. Tonight, after a keenly contested poll amid some drama, INEC declares Amadou Fintiri winner of Adamo State governorship election. Governor Fintiri describes outcome of the poll as victory for democracy. INEC asked Inspector General of Police to investigate the suspended resident electoral commissioner for Adamo State, Hudu Yunusa Ari, for illegal announcement of state's governorship election results. Inspector General orders immediate removal of the Commissioner of Police in Adamo State, Mohammed Bade, over his role in the illegal declaration of APC candidate as winner in the state governorship election.
On business news tonight, National Bureau of Statistics report shows Nigerian Railway Corporation revenue decreased by 7.7% in 2022.
On sports news tonight, defending champions Real Madrid advanced to the semi-final of the UEFA Champions League, edging out Chelsea on aggregate in the return leg at Stamford Bridge.
And from Abuja, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association appeals for the release of the former NBA president, Mr. Okewale, following his abduction yesterday on the River State axis of the East-West Road.
And in international news from London, US journalist Evan Gershkovich has appeared in court in Moscow to appeal against his detention on charges of spying.
After days of anxiety amid some drama, the Independent National Electoral Commission today declared Amadou Fintiri of the People's Democratic Party as the winner of the Adamo State governorship election. INEC's returning officer Mohamed Mele made the announcement in Yola, the Adamo State capital, where he declared Fintiri polled a total of 430,861 votes to defeat his closest rival, Aisha Benani Dahiru, of the All Progressives Congress, who polled 398,788 votes. The announcement of Fintiri as winner brings to an end the uncertainties that surrounded the governorship election since March 18, when the exercise was declared inconclusive by the electoral umpire.
Babangida Umaru, PDP. 2,174, 2174. Dahiru Ahmed Aishatu, APC, 396,788, 396,788. Sholi Yahya Abga, 892. Umaru Ahmadu Fintiri, PDP, 430,861. 861. Baba Ina Ibrahim, PRP, 1,188. Dado Amro, ZLP, 200. 200. That Umaru Ahmadu Fintiri of PDP, having satisfied the requirement of the law, is hereby declared the winner and returned.
As expected, Mr. Amadou Fintiri has reacted to his re-election as the governor of Adamo State. In his acceptance speech at the Government House in Yola, Governor Fintiri described the outcome of the election as a victory for democracy. He thanked the people of Adamo for their sacrifice during the period of the election, urging them to close rank and work for the progress of the state.
I must again reiterate that the decision was well intended and done in good faith, in the overall interest of all parties. Now that the election are done and over, our doors are open to every partnership that is beneficial to our people. The combined efforts of our security forces and their high commands in providing the needed atmosphere of peace throughout the election and even waiting period is highly commendable. Their exhibition of professional conduct is undeniably praiseworthy. I thank the leadership of my great party, the PDP, for standing by us and ensuring that no amount of gang-up triumph against the will of the majority of Adamo people. As always, the umbrella is big enough for all of us.
Reactions are already trailing the emergence of Mr. Fintiri as winner of the Adamo governorship election. One of the first to react is the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Kano Abuja, who has hailed the announcement by INEC. Mr. Kano congratulated Governor Fintiri via his Twitter handle and thanked the people of Adamo for staying the course and, according to him, resisting coupists and enemies of democracy from having their way. He states the lesson from this exercise and others is the need for Nigerians to be vigilant and never give in to anti-democratic forces whose objective is to snatch, run with and undermine the mandate of the people as freely expressed in their vote. The former vice president also asked Nigerians to remain alert, as in his words, they still have one more major mandate to reclaim. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has asked the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali-Baba, to investigate and possibly prosecute the suspended Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Hudu Yunusa Ari. The Commission is also requesting the Secretary General of the Federation to draw the attention of the appointing authority to the unwholesome behavior of the REC for more action. These were the resolutions of the Commission after a closed-door meeting at INEC headquarters in Abuja, following the controversial declaration of the APC governorship candidate as the winner of the Adamo polls by the REC, an action which it declared null and void. Well, staying with the illegal declaration of results by the suspended REC in Adamo State, the Inspector General of Police has ordered the removal of the Commissioner of Police in Adamo State, CP Mohammed Bade, with immediate effect. Police spokesperson Mr. Muyiwa Adejobi made the announcement today in Abuja when he briefed the press about disciplinary actions being meted out to policemen who flouted the law during the general elections. Mr. Adejobi said the IGP has directed the Commissioner of Police in charge of Gombe State, Etim Kwa, to take over the police command.
We are working with INEC to actually do the needful, to make sure we unravel the mystery and investigate those who are involved in that scenario in Adamawa State. As you know, that the INEC is moving ahead with the completion of the supplementary election in Adamawa State. But from the police, the IGP has given directive that the Commissioner of Police there for the election CP Bade should be pulled out of Adamawa State, and the Commissioner of Police in charge of Gombe State, CP Etim Okwa, to proceed to Adamawa immediately to go and supervise the election and provide necessary security to make sure that process is a success. So we are mindful of the fact that there is need for us to look into that case. And if you have any letter from INEC, we will work on that. We have not received any official letter from INEC, but if we receive today, we're going to act appropriately. But we are working, as I speak with you, we are working with INEC to see that matter is adequately investigated. You know, police cannot do electoral offenses, cannot handle electoral offenses alone. We need to work with INEC. And that is what we are doing presently. We will do the needful to make sure that matter is adequately investigated. But now, a new Commissioner of Police, CP in charge of Gombe State, CP Etim Okwa, has been directed to proceed immediately to Adamawa to go and take charge and make sure that process is a success.
Still on prosecutions, the acting national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Umar Damagum, has described the action of Mr. Hudu Yunusa Ari in the Adamo governorship election as a civilian coup. During a press briefing in Abuja, the PDP National Chairman maintained that INEC should hand him over to the police for prosecution.
This action by Malam Hudu amounts to a civilian coup with the intention to take control and install an illegal government in Adamawa State, contrary to the provision of Section 1, Subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic, as amended. The PDP insists that subversive conduct must not go unpunished. We restate our demand that INEC should, without further delay, hand over Malam Hudu to the police for investigation and prosecution. The Inspector General of Police should, as a matter of urgency, remove, investigate, and sanction the Adamawa State Commissioner of Police for providing cover and enabling the perpetration of this grievous criminal act against our democracy.
In the meantime, efforts by the APC candidate Aisha Binani Dahiru to stop today's final collation and declaration of the Adamo governorship election result was unsuccessful. Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja temporarily declined to hear her application seeking an order of court restraining INEC from invalidating her declaration as winner of the election. She had approached the court for leave to file an application for judicial review of the administrative decision of INEC made April 16th in respect of her declaration as winner. However, when the ex parte motion was about to be moved, Justice Inyang Ekwo asked Binani's lawyer to first address him if his court had jurisdiction to entertain such matter. The judge subsequently gave Binani's counsel 3 days to file his address on the issue and fixed April 26th for hearing of the ex parte application and the motion on whether the court has jurisdiction.
This is an ex parte application. We are not expecting anybody, as you can see. When the counsel to the third respondent announced his appearance, my lord refused to take his appearance because it is by the leave of the court that the action will be initiated. So you don't just be a busybody and appear before the court. What are we looking before the court is whether INEC can set aside a pronouncement made by one of its staff. We are not here to argue election. We don't have anything election before the Supreme Court. What we are trying to do before the Supreme Court is for the court to make a pronouncement as to whether, looking at Section 149 of the Electoral Act, which says whatever action taken by INEC can only be set aside by either election petition tribunal or a court of competent jurisdiction. So an INEC staff standing to make a declaration, whether legitimate or illegitimate, the right thing to do is to approach the tribunal. It is only the tribunal that will determine whether the act is legitimate or illegitimate.
In part two, after the break, Federal High Court Abuja reinstates Mr. Ifeanyi Ararume as the non-executive chairman of the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited. We have that in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live from Channels Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories. After a keenly contested poll amid some drama, INEC declares Amadu Fintiri winner of Adamo State governorship election. Governor Fintiri describes outcome of the poll as victory for democracy. INEC asked the Inspector General of Police to investigate the suspended resident electoral commissioner for Adamo Estate, Hudu Yunusa Ari, for illegal announcement of the state's governorship election results. Inspector General orders immediate removal of the Commissioner of Police in Adamo Estate, Mohammed Bade, over his role in the illegal declaration of APC candidate as winner in the state's governorship election. And the Russian court rejects appeal of U.S. journalist Evan Gershkovich against his pre-trial detention following spying charges. The two-day warning strike embarked upon by aviation workers across the country has ended. The industrial action was called by the national body of the union over government's failure to address their concerns regarding national minimum wage, consequential adjustment and working conditions. In Lagos today, the action took the form of a roadshow.
A road show. That's what the aviation workers in Lagos choose to call its protest as a round of the two-day warning strike in an attempt to draw public attention to poor working conditions and entitlements in the country's aviation industry. Unlike the first day of the protest, airport activities and vehicular movement on the busy airport road are not disrupted while the protest ensues. However, administrative offices are closed for the day. The movement culminates at the international terminal of the airport.
We workers have stakes there, and we are asking. The minister himself in 2019 followed the workers to wages and salary commissions. This issue up to now is not still resolved. What is happening? The fight is not targeted at various management. It is for where these documents are to be released. We want it released. And the issue of demolition be halted. You cannot demolish people where people are occupying their offices.
The Secretary General of the National Union of Aviation Transport Employees explains how their concerns are being handled.
We are aware a meeting is ongoing at this moment, convened by the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. And since we are not party to it, we cannot say for sure what is going on. But it's our hope that that meeting will produce a positive result and that at least one leg of the protest, which is the outstanding conditions of service for the 4 agencies, will be ratified and released for implementation.
It's a warning strike and the unions are hopeful that it doesn't go beyond that. While aviation unions have resorted to strike as the best tool to press home their demands, it is certainly not good for the industry.
We have more stories from our Abuja studios. It's over to Linda Akiwe with more. Hi, Linda. It's good to see you.
Hello, Millicent. Good to see you too. Now, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Yakubu Mekiao, is appealing to the abductors of the NBA former president, Mr. Wali, to release him. Mr. Wali was reportedly abducted in the early hours of Monday, 17 April 2023, after his convoy was attacked along the east-west road in Obiapo local government area of Rivers State. Mr. Mekiao also asked the abductors not to harm his colleague, Mr. Wali, and described the ugly incident as yet another sad reminder of the weakness in Nigeria's security system and the failure of successive governments to protect Nigerians. He urged the Inspector General of Police to ensure the safe release of Mr. Wali. This is the second time Mr. Wali will be kidnapped. He was first kidnapped in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, by unknown gunmen in October 11, 2014, after his tenure as NBA president. He was released 13 days later on October 24, 2014. And now to the court. Justice Inyang Eko of the Federal High Court Abuja has reinstated Mr. Ifeanyi Ararome as a non-executive chairman of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. The court voided his sack and set aside the removal done on January 17, 2022 by President Muhammadu Buhari on the ground that the action was unlawful and illegal. The leaving judgment in a suit instituted by Mr. Ararome, Justice Eko awarded the sum of 5 billion naira against President Buhari and the NNPCL to be paid to Mr. Ararome as damages for his wrongful sack.
The Federal High Court resumes officially from its Easter holiday with quite a number of cases. One of such is the judgment in the suit instituted by Mr. Ifeanyi Ararome, challenging a sack from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. delivering judgment, Justice Ekwo ordered that Mr. Ararume be immediately restored to his office as non-executive chairman of the NNPCL. The judge also declared as null and void all decisions of the board of directors of the company carried out in his absence. The judge further held that President Buhari's action was illegal, null and void, in the ways and manners Mr. Ararume was removed from office after using his name to register company, and that such an act cannot stand in the face of the law. Justice Ekwo agreed that under Section 63 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, the president is vested with powers to remove directors of the organization, but held that the powers were not at large. The judge held that the law clearly stipulated conditions under which directors of the company can be sacked, adding that a breach of the stipulated conditions will automatically make any purported sack unlawful. In the instant case, Justice Ekwo said that the federal government's letter of January 17, 2022, signed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Bas Mustafa, did not give any reason for the removal.
This is a judgment that is a victory for the rule of law, a salute to due process. What we came here to agitate is that things must be done in this country in accordance with the law, and that no person is above the law.
Outside the courtroom, he reacts to the judgment.
It is an NNPC Limited. Therefore, it is not the issue of being confident. It is the issue of things being done properly, following the laid down procedures. If there are where a statute or where any law has provided for a process to do something, any other way that it is done becomes illegality.
The company's counsel did not speak to the media on the next line of action as Nigerians await the decision of the federal government on the judgment.
And staying with legal matters, the Federal High Court in Abuja has barred the People's Democratic Party from suspending or expelling Governor Nyesom Wike and executive members in Rivers State over alleged anti-party activities. In his judgment, Justice Inyangekwu held that the fears of these PDP members were well-founded, that a suspension or expulsion will amount to a breach of their right to freedom of association. He stated that it is in the power of the court to grant redress to persons who have well-established acts that would amount to the infringement of their rights, as members cannot be suspended without compliance to political party guidelines. Governor Wike had taken the position against the PDP leadership and refused to work for the party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, after he demanded that the party's national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, step down for a southerner. Away from the judiciary, plastic has been identified as one of the major challenges facing human existence on the planet, entering the food chain and increasing the risk of cancer and developmental disorders. To tackle this problem, the United Nations Development Fund, under the Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program, is deploying the power of 400 youth in effective plastic use and waste management in a 400 billion naira project. The Chief Executive Officer of Pearl's Learning Hub states that the winning team on the project will be given 1 million naira and is looking forward to reducing plastic waste in Abuja by 50%. Our correspondent Kayla Megwa reports.
Positioning 2 million people in the Federal Capital Territory to choose appropriate use of plastic, build an army of youth influencers on proper plastic use, encourage waste separation at source, and create jobs in the alternatives to plastic use. These are the goals of the Plastic and Waste Management Project hosted by the United Nations Development Program through Pearl's Learning Hub in Abuja.
The UNDP, in their commitment to helping countries manage plastic waste and reduce plastic use, has organized this program tagged deploying the power of IT-engaged youths in effective plastic use and waste management for the FCT and environs. We believe very much in young people. We believe that you have the brain, you have the ideas, we want to harvest these ideas.
These young people make up part of the 400 influencers who will, for the next 7 months, take part in 4 phases of this project, which will include face-to-face interactions by created teams, hybrid lessons, camping in schools, and a final selection of the 3 best ideas, which will culminate in a report submission to the Small Grants Program of the United Nations.
One of our focal area also in small grants recently is the youth, because there's another project we're doing in FCT, for example, we're raising climate champions, and all the state schools in Abuja are supposed to be part of it. So we have thousands of students and teachers who are part of this project. Some of them have won international awards.
There's so much inside everyone seated here about this watershed that we are in Nigeria that must connect yesterday, your own yesterday, Nigeria's yesterday, the yesterday of Abuja, the yesterday of this street in front of me here right now, with a future that must be better than what we're talking about now.
Cutting down Nigeria's plastic footprint will require concerted efforts from all Nigerians, and the education required to execute this effectively will get a boost from this project. Nigerians, especially those in the nation's capital, should prepare themselves for a culture of separating plastic in garbage disposal and carrying reusable water bottles. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
The activities of criminals are among the factors delaying the completion of the Kano Abuja highway. Now, this is the position of the Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, who inspected the roads along with the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari. However, the second and third phases of the project will be ready for commissioning before the end of this tenure.
The Kano Abuja Highway project has been on since the beginning of this administration. Phases 2 and 3 of the project are set to be ready for commissioning in a matter of weeks.
Well, I can't give you precise percentages, but we are hoping and expecting that before the end of the tenure of this administration, that will be completed. But as I told you, for this one, the section we've just seen, within a week, that will be completed.
According to the Minister of Works and Housing, insecurity hampers the completion of Phase 1 of the project, which is from Kaduna to Abuja.
Section 1 is the one that will continue beyond the tenure of this administration. And that has been difficult to do because of many reasons, not the least of which was we lost about a year last year because of criminal activity. We also have issues about right of way there. We need to relocate buildings, markets, electricity installations, utilities, and if all of that is not removed, the contractor will move to site.
The Kano Abuja Highway is a critical road for the ease of movement from the northwest region to the north-central part of the country, hence the need for its completion. Sadiq Ilyasu,
That's all from
Television.
Abuja. Back to you, Millicent. Thank you, Linda. Well, we continue as the world continues to pursue the energy transition agenda. The federal government says it is poised to deliver energy to citizens through the efficient utilization of hydrocarbons. Well, speaking on this drive at the International Energy Summit in Abuja, the group CEO, NNPCL, Mele Kyari, says NNPC Limited is actively supporting the federal government towards the realization of key initiatives such as the Decade of Gas and the National Gas Expansion Program, NGEP. The GCEO and NNPCL was represented by the Executive Vice President, Gas, Power and New Energy for NNPCL.
Thank you. It's another convocation of the international energy sector, the 6th Nigeria International Energy Summit and the last under this outgoing government. Being the brainchild of this administration, this year's summit is valedictory and well in place for the federal government to give a scorecard of its achievement. From exiting the JV cash call conundrum to natural gas flare commercialization initiative, the declaration of Decade of Gas from 2021 to 2030, the AKK gas infrastructure program, the marginal fuels bid rounds, and more, the representative of the Vice President speaks to one of the most profound and proud moments for this administration.
PIA
remains our single biggest achievement in the energy sector. For decades, we were told that because of various vested interests, it could be near impossible to pass the bill. But we made it happen. What we did with the PIA, you will all agree with me, was simply revolutionary.
The conversation is on, and as the world pursues the energy transition agenda, countries like Nigeria have a domesticated ambition in the fray.
Here in Nigeria, we are committed to driving this transition forward, and we are working to ensure our energy sector remains a key driver of this economic growth and social progress as we imbibe cleaner ways of production and further domesticate the utilization of gas resources within and beyond our borders.
Decoupling the energy transition pursuit has produced a perspective for most resource-rich yet energy-poor countries in Africa to demanding for a just transition and energy accessibility. OPEC is making a case for Africa.
This great continent, Africa, has 120 billion barrels of proven oil reserves and 18 trillion standard cubic meters of natural gas. For countries to properly utilize these resources for the benefit of their people, investment levels must be adequate, whilst being mindful and taking actions to reduce the carbon footprint of the oil industry. However, movements by financial institutions to limit and stringently control how money is invested into fossil fuels under environmental, social, and governance constraints impedes the realization of this potential.
Another critical group in the Nigerian space, the Indigenous Petroleum Producers Group, is already setting an agenda for the new government.
The administration's agenda for the industry should be geared towards A, improving investor confidence through effective implementation of the PIA and strengthening of regulatory institutions. B, arresting the menace of crude theft across the Niger Delta, which still lingers despite recent successes recorded by the federal government. C, harnessing the nation's hydrocarbon asset, particularly gas, to catalyze and rapidly industrialize the Nigerian economy. And C, building a broader value-creating midstream gas processing plants and downstream refineries and transforming Nigeria into product suppliers.
At the close of deliberations, the conference is unanimous that countries like Nigeria will find sustainable means using technology to develop its hydrocarbon, especially gas, in meeting its energy demand and economic growth projections. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Away from the International Energy Summit in Abuja to a good deed. A senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Obla, has donated a 6-unit dialysis center with 2 intensive care units, a water treatment plant and an independent power plant to the Federal University of Health Sciences, Otukpo, in Benue State to address increasing cases of renal failure in the country. The donation, which also comes with a 40 million naira academic endowment fund in 4 areas of medicine and another 10 million naira for information technology, is in memory of his late wife, Mrs. Judith Obla, who passed away a year ago.
A section of the newly approved teaching hospital by the federal government for the Federal University of Health Sciences, Otukpo, Benue State, came alive with this state-of-the-art Judith Obla Kidney Dialysis Memorial Center. From the reception through to the infectious disease ward, where 2 out of 6 dialysis machines have been installed, to the intensive care unit, the new center is ready with an independent water treatment plant and power source. The mother to Mr. Godwin Obla performs the commissioning ceremony as he leads dignitaries on an inspection tour where they speak on the needs of the center.
What we have here is a water treatment plant. One of the things that dialysis unit would not want to have is dirty water. So we then have a plant that will process water and make sure that the water is clean and is free from any impurities.
We have 6 dialysis machines, they're all brand new. We have 2 intensive care units here. We have a complete water processing plant here. We have 2 consulting rooms. We have a conference room for meetings, for training and reviews. We have a comprehensive laboratory with everything, can do all chemistry and hematology tests.
After the commissioning, Mr. Obla hands over the facility along with checks to the management of the university community, and political leaders also made donations.
We have an NGO that we established in memory of my mother. The NGO is known as NIOTA Foundation. And so I'm going to make a donation here on behalf of the NGO, the sum of 5 million naira.
Aside from the center, Mr. Obla also visits the new Aviation Information Technology and presents a 10 million naira ICT endowment fund.
The future of the world economy is predicated on the development of the IT industry.
These investments are aimed at helping those with renal failure access to affordable services, especially in rural communities.
To all the stories, with its 75.6 subscribers in Nigeria and a profit after tax of 358.9 billion naira profit after tax for the year ended December 31st, 2022, MTN Nigeria has promised its customers and shareholders to be upbeat of a more fruitful and eventful year 2023. This is according to the leadership of the company, who was speaking in Lagos during the company's annual general meeting. They also declared a total dividend of 15 naira 60 kobo per share.
Represented by proxies.
With 319 members physically present and 256 represented by proxy, quorum is formed for the MTN 2023 annual general meeting.
The chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee.
The meeting is to, among other agenda, lay before members the audited financial statements of the company for the financial year ended December 31st, 2022.
Representing 0.31% voted against.
With a profit after tax of 358.9 billion naira, a growth of 20.2% compared to 2021, the company declares a final dividend of 10 naira per share, bringing the total dividend for the year to 15 naira 60 kobo per share.
Dividend payment in the total sum of 203 billion, 500 million naira.
The leadership of MTN says the good outing for the year ended is not a one-off and should be expected for the new financial year.
We've had a very successful year. We think that despite the various issues that are bedeviling our country, we've remained focused and tried to provide the Nigerian people with the kind of technology and communications that they require for their business and for their interaction with each other.
Strong positive year, strong return to shareholders. We continue as the leading company in terms of governance, recognized by the NGX. We also continued as one of the leading taxpayers in the country in our partnership with the government, and we're very pleased with the outcome of 2022.
Shareholders say they are satisfied with the company's performance.
I really appreciate what we are going to receive of 10 naira as a final dividend. Sometime last year, they pay us interim dividend of 5 naira 60 kobo, plus today's on making 15 naira 60 kobo.
To re-elect the following directors retiring by rotation.
In spite of the gains in the outgone year, MTN's outlook is to continue to maintain competitive advantages across its market segments as it accelerates its portfolio transformation efforts and innovations.
Back to your respective destinations.
Now time for business news. Here's Anne Waldo. Thank you, Millicent. Hello and welcome to Business News. The Nigerian Railway Corporation, the NRC, says it has generated 5.57 billion naira as revenue from passengers, cargoes and other services in the year 2022. The figure represents a decrease of 7.69% to 464.74 million naira when you compare it to 6.03 billion naira generated in 2021. According to that report published by the National Bureau of Statistics, the operation generated 4.54 billion naira from passengers in 2022 as against 5.69 billion naira generated in 2021, while goods and cargo ranked in 416.85 million naira in the period under review. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, is asking operators and end users of gas to obtain the requisite petroleum storage license. And this formed the main thrust of discussions at the stakeholders meeting in Lagos. The Executive Director, Distribution Systems, Storage and Retailing Infrastructure, Mr. Omugo Okoha, emphasized other things, including the essence of the transition from white products to gas. Meanwhile, the Managing Director of the Petroleum Managers in Lagos, Mr. Adamo, has a message for the incoming administration.
If you're handling petroleum products at a certain volume, in compliance with both the PIA and the regulations we've drafted, you need to bring yourself within the regulatory space because only in so doing that can we guarantee both technical and operational safety. This transition is inevitable. The authority didn't declare it initially. It's something that from the presidential level down to the ministerial, Nigeria has declared gas as a transition fuel of choice. Also, the global trend about the run on daitier fuels, which is why Nigeria has chosen gas as a transition fuel. We will begin to see some reduction ultimately globally on the contribution and market share of the different fuels. There will be some dynamics as we go on. So the earlier we sign on to this, the better for us.
They should work more on reducing, they should just reduce the regulations. They should make gases, they should make it more friendly. It has to go into our system, using it in the vehicle. We use it on domestic. We want all the industries to be using it. So they should create a more friendly platform for the operators so that it will be much easier for them to go invest on. Because we really need to invest on gas. It is very, very important.
Let's head to the equities market now. It made a rebound today in the trading session, halting negative performance in the markets. Inijon Mekwa has the details.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the stock market reports. Well, I can say that Transcorp is still catching the eye of investors as it drives more than 1 billion in volume of today's trade. Of course, we know that this will have some positive impact, and that is 18 kobo increase in its share price to close at 2 naira 3 kobo. That's why we have it at the top trade, Transcorp leading there. And then we see Living Trust also in that category, as well as Fidelity. The business market is captured in over 700% increase in today's volume, bringing it to 1.81 billion, while value is about 200% more at 5.02 billion. Been a while since we had something like that deal at 4,669 now. What this means is that the all-share index is obviously in the green, but 0.02% doesn't look so exciting. But when you remember that yesterday at this time, we had 1.48% in the red, then this becomes exciting. And guess what else, or who else is happy about this? It is the bull. So let's leave the bull there until tomorrow, hoping that the market will build on this success by tomorrow. That's a stock market report. I'm Inijon Mekwa. It's back to you.
That's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Millicent. Thank you, Anne. And let's head to River State, where the governor, Nyesom Wike, has continued the commissioning of projects in the state, this time again in Obiakpo local government area. The road which leads to the prominent Archdeacon Crowther Memorial Girls' School in Elelenwo community and other adjoining streets used to be in bad condition for many years, till the intervention of the state government in 2021.
Elelenwo community in Obiakpo local government area, River State, comes alive as Governor Nyesom Wike arrives for the commissioning of the road linking the popular Archdeacon Crowther Memorial Girls' School and adjoining streets. The government entourage is treated to performances by excited community youth and students of the prominent Anglican Memorial School, in whose honor the 2.25-kilometer road is reconstructed after many years of being in a deplorable state. Governor Wike classifies the project, which was awarded in 2021, as a fulfillment of yet another promise for the people. He, however, announces the award of a contract for the construction of the community's internal roads and the donation of 500 million naira for the upgrade of the missionary school, which was attended by his wife.
Before I came, I told my wife, and she said, if there's one party gift I must do for her, is to make sure that we try to rehabilitate this school here. And that we are going to do by making sure we donate to the school the sum of 500 million naira so that we can bring up the school, because SMJS is a prominent school in this state and in this country.
He also advises the church on how to deal with politicians to keep its integrity.
And that's why I've told the church to be careful of politicians who want to use the church. The church will always identify with those who from beginning have always worked with them. Not because when election comes, they'll come and talk to you. Is a Christian. Christianity is not only during the election. Christianity should be done from the onset. You have to show that you're a Christian. I have never run away from the church. I said our administration will always partner with the church. But I know what the church have done for this administration. I will not run away from them. In the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit.
The road which connects Elelenwo to the east-west road is projected to restore the long-lost social and economic potential of the area.
And to some international news, a Russian court has rejected the appeal of U.S. journalist Evan Gershkovich against his pre-trial detention. He appeared in court in Moscow Tuesday for the first time. He had been seen in public for weeks since he was arrested, and this is accused of working for the Wall Street Journal newspaper and charged with spying. Well, here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international stories and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The US journalist Evan Gershkovich has appeared in court in Moscow to appeal against his detention on charges of spying. Mr. Gershkovich, who was arrested while working for the Wall Street Journal newspaper, stood with folded arms in a glass enclosure wearing a blue checked shirt. He did not say anything to the group of reporters who were taking pictures of him. US Ambassador to Russia Lynn Tracy was also present in the courtroom. He could face up to 20 years in prison if found guilty of spying. There are reports of looting in Sudan's capital as the number of killed in internal fighting reaches 200. Here, 2 large explosions captured live on television in the capital. It It's because of this that central Khartoum is largely deserted. Water and electricity supplies have been cut off in some areas of the capital. Around 2,000 people have been wounded in the fighting which started on Saturday. An 84-year-old Kansas City man has been charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action for shooting a 16-year-old boy who rung the doorbell of the wrong house. Ralph Yarl was going to pick up his younger twin siblings but walked up to the wrong door. Kansas City has seen 2 days of protests after the white homeowner shot Yarl, who was released from hospital and is recovering from gunshot wounds to the head and arm. That's according to his family.
The defendant, Andrew D. Lester, is charged with the Class A felony of assault in the first degree in that on or about April 13th, 2023, in Clay County, Missouri, he knowingly caused physical injury to P.Y. by shooting him. This is an A felony. It carries with it a range of punishment of up to life.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has visited occupied parts of the Ukrainian region of Kherson. He attended a military meeting to hear reports from commanders, that's according to the Kremlin. Mr. Putin is thought to have visited the Luhansk region. Russia annexed Kherson and Luhansk last year. Such trips by the Russian leader are rare, although he made a surprise visit to the city of Mariupol in March. Israelis have stood still across the country as a siren wailed to mark the annual Holocaust Remembrance Day. The siren sounded for 2 minutes, bringing the nation to a halt at 10 a.m. local time to honour the millions of Jews murdered by the Nazis during the Second World War. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog attended a wreath-laying ceremony at the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial Museum in Jerusalem. Apple's chief executive Tim Cook reacted with surprise when a fan turned up with one of the first editions of the Macintosh computer at the company's first retail store opening in Mumbai. Store employees cheered loudly as Cook's eyes widened upon seeing the computer in the man's arms before taking pictures with the fan. About 300 people lined up at Apple's store in Mumbai on Tuesday as fans took selfies with Cook, who inaugurated the first retail store run by the company in India, underscoring the importance of its market. A second store in Delhi, the capital, is set to open on Thursday. And an avid swimmer and 4-time Guinness World Record holder has gone for a 5th record involving swimming 30 miles around the Biscayne Bay to collect trash in Florida.
2, go!
Merle Levand, also known as Mermaid Merle, swam with a monofin that resembles a mermaid fin. She accomplished her goal within 14 hours and 15 minutes, all the while collecting approximately 20 pounds of trash.
Plastic! It's insane! My bag is full and I haven't been here even 4 hours.
A group of kayakers rotated, keeping watch as she swam to keep her safe from boats and to help should there be any emergencies, and also provide her with food and water.
And in 14 hours, my team picked up this. I mean, I think we need to do better. I'm so thankful. And I think that's the best birthday gift. Swimming 30 miles in 14 hours and 15 minutes.
Wow. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you so much, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. With 92 days to the FIFA Women's World Cup, the Nigeria Football Federation says it will do more to prepare the team for the big challenge in Australia and New Zealand in the summer. The NFF confirmed earlier today that the 9-time African champions will embark on another Grade A friendly match in Europe and a 2-week campaign in Australia. In the UEFA Champions League, Real Madrid, the reigning champions, cruised into the Champions League semi-finals with a 2-0 win over Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, winning 4-0 on aggregate. In the other game, at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium, where Napoli could only manage a 1-0 draw with AC Milan, thereby making the Milan Giants cruise to the next stage on a 2-1 aggregate. And Bayern Munich coach Thomas Tuchel insists that his side need a miracle to overturn a 3-goal deficit against Man City and reach the Champions League semi-finals on Wednesday. Bayern were thrashed 3-0 by City in the first leg of their quarter-final tie in Manchester last week, and they now face what seems to be a mission impossible ahead of the return fixture in Munich. And that's a wrap on sports news.
And the main news again, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, today declared Amadou Fintiri of the People's Democratic Party winner of the Adamo State governorship election. Governor Fintiri described the outcome of the poll as victory for democracy. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night and stay safe.